Okay, so this is actually a test print. These two are not actually the same. Even though they look the same, they're slightly different. So we'll see how they come off, but the idea is you should be able to, sorry about that noise, separate them. And I'm being careful because there are two different pieces, but for now they're attached, and that's intentional. I want to keep them attached for forming of them. This was not a perfect print. You can see kind of the splinter in here. That's for what I'm doing in this test. It doesn't matter, but that's just a material problem, a print problem. This one's pretty clean. I'll try and follow up in a second with what the next step is. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to show you sort of how to form this to your face, okay? So this is what they look like. This is before, and this is what it's going to look after, okay? See how this fits around my face, and it extends out the bridge of my nose, okay? So that's what we're aiming for, okay? Now, this is a heat gun. If you don't have one, you can use a blow dryer. It just takes a lot longer. This generates a lot of heat very quickly. So a couple things. The middle part is very thin. It's only 4 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So it heats up quickly and kind of starts to warp, and the rest of it's much thicker. So I spend most of my time on the outside, just a little bit on the inside. This might be noisy. Got my mask on. I'll heat it up just a little more. And it can get pretty hot, so just be careful of that. Normally I would use a mirror. Center that over top of the bridge of my nose and then start pulling outward. Okay? And then make sure this is sticking outward. And now I'm just sort of shaping it to my face around the bridge of my nose, keeping pressure on it, and making sure that sticks out. Okay? As it cools down, it'll hold its shape, and you can always warm it back up and re-mold it a little bit. But honestly, that's pretty much it. I don't need to change it much. The last one I had to do it twice, not a big deal. But once you're here, yeah. You can quench it in cold water if you want, but that's pretty much it. All right, that's it. Okay, so if you notice, I say it's two components, but they're all one so far. And that's intentional. I've actually made it so that they're attached at the bottom, but just a very thin layer. This one is 0.5 millimeter, this one is 0.2 millimeters, so I'm kind of testing. If this one doesn't separate well, then I'll jump to this one. But the idea is that the two components, and this might be too thick, are essentially perforated and should separate. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, in the last part of the video I kind of gave up because I was having trouble separating. I'm going to work on different ways to separate this, adjust the design itself, but for now I did find that if I just take a carpenter's knife, or if you have a Bard Parker in your office, it will track pretty well in the groove because the groove is it's built into it, so it knows kind of path of least resistance. And I'm not directing it at all. I'm just holding it up, and as I pull and sort of feed the frame through it, it automatically finds where it needs to go. Up here on the tighter corners, it might struggle a little more, but my hope, yeah, I was wondering if it would just pop apart at that point, but yeah, it's sort of feeding itself through anyways. Almost separated. I don't want to pull too much because you can deform it just like when you heat mold it. You can also deform it just from pressing. There we go. So now we've got two different pieces that fit within each other. Now, yeah, this is crooked, crooked nose looking thing. I'm probably gonna, you know, keep testing, and I'll improve ways to separate it. So now the idea is that you take your mask, you set it over top of this piece, okay, and then you put this one over top of that, and the two should line up quite well. Now, in a perfect world, they would actually snap together, but that's asking a bit much because there's just such a broad sweep around this entire frame. But I mean, right now they are locked in. It is one is locked within the other. You can see if I just hold it like this, it doesn't fall apart. Now, once you put it on your face, it might not stay exactly like that. But the important part is that it now stays out away from your face, creating a lot more surface area. When it's just flat, first of all, your mouth hits it, gets wet, but honestly, it's so flat that you don't have much surface area to breathe through. So the whole purpose of this is to create more surface area, therefore more airflow. Go. Okay, so here's my mask put together, just like I showed. And so now I can put it together on my face. Now, I still need rubber bands to pull it back, okay? And if you need to adjust the mask, you can, okay? But now you have the ability to pull this back, and it'll keep it sealed all the way around your mouth and nose, and as you can see, I can talk just fine. And honestly, as I'm playing this right now, I could say, you know what, I would like to bring this up a little bit higher, these out a little farther. All I do is heat them up again and just pull laterally, and I can reform it. So it's always moldable in the future. But again, take some elastic bands here. What I'd like to try are some, basically like my wife, I remember she used to use back in college, the little hair tie that was elastic that wrapped around in track and stuff to hold hair back. So I think I can manage that. Got a couple other ideas. This video I'm making right off the spot, this is my third print, I think third or fourth print that I've made. So this is very early in the testing. Use it at your own, discretion. But the idea is, we know that actually research has shown, and I'm new to this, I didn't realize this, I had made some poor assumptions. The filtration of this material is actually superior to an N95 mask. The problem is keeping a seal. But with this, applying pressure uniformly around the face, we get the better filtration and a proper seal. So this is going to be the easiest solution. It's not going to be an N100 HEPA filter necessarily, but pretty close. And I think this would be the most feasible option, because we can print these in mass and people can mold them as needed. There you go.